Reactions continue to trail yesterday's declaration by the President. Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi has defended President Tinubu's action to declare a state of emergency in Rivers State. He insists President Tinubu acted in the interest of the people. TVC News State House Correspondent Femi Akonde has more.
The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice putting into context the decision of the President to declare a state of emergency in Rivers State, suspending Governor Similaye Fubara and the state legislature.
Ordinarily be expected.
But the Attorney General insists the President acted in the best interest of the country, and at a time when it appeared there was an imminent, clear and present danger.
Now that this situation has arisen, I believe will call themselves to order. The President has intervened 1, 2, 3 times without any result. And he alluded to this in his broadcast, that he had done his own. Well-meaning Nigerians have done their own to no avail. And that was why he had to come out and take the decision that he took yesterday.
Similaye Fubara's deliberate actions and inaction are some reasons that necessitated a suspension of his rights and privileges as governor of Rivers State, particularly demolishing the House of Assembly, and his comments believed to have incited the people to violence.
The whole thing started or crystallized with the judgment of the Supreme Court that was handed down on the 28th day of February 2025, in which the Supreme Court, that's the highest court in the land, made a categorical pronouncement after making very pronounced findings, profound findings of breaches of the Constitution by the parties involved, particularly the governor of Rivers State, came to the conclusion that he was acting like a despot, and that as the situation is in Rivers State, there is no government.
But the AGF believes the President's decision puts into consideration the interest of the people of Rivers State. The order of the Supreme Court directing the federal government to withhold federal allocations to Rivers State may also be reconsidered.
The President came out boldly yesterday to say the situation cannot be allowed to continue, a situation in which what is given lifeline to the nation to be, criminally touched without any response from those who would ordinarily be expected to do so, cannot continue.
The Attorney General of the Federation, however, absolved the Minister of the FCT of any blame in the crisis. He insists that Nyesom Wike was not mentioned in the matter at the Supreme Court. The coming days will be interesting as attention focuses on the sole administrator to see how he will manage Rivers State during his 6-month tenure. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
Femi standing by from the nation's capital with updates on this development. Interesting development, Femi. I'm wondering if the Attorney General reacted to the perception of fairness on the side of Mr. President. He did call out the Rivers State governor, but left out the name of the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. What more did he say about that during that meeting?
Well, he said, hi Nifemi, good evening. He said as far as he's concerned, the Rivers State governor, who is indeed a stakeholder in Rivers State, was not mentioned by the Supreme Court when the Supreme Court was sitting on that matter and eventually came out with its verdict. The people in that matter mentioned by the Supreme Court are the governor of Rivers State, Similaye Fubara, and the members of the State House of Assembly. Understandably, Nyesom Wike is from Rivers State. He's a member of the People's Democratic Party in Rivers State and a critical power broker, as you may want to put it, in Rivers State. But his name was not mentioned in the Supreme Court's judgment. And Wike's performance will only be assessed, or Wike will only be assessed by his performance in President Bola Tinubu's cabinet as a federal minister of the Federal Capital Territory. That is the yardstick for measuring Wike's performance. What is happening in Rivers State is entirely different from the issues of governance as it regards President Bola Tinubu's administration. What is happening in Rivers State is a Rivers State affair, and Wike's involvement is also based on, is also solely as a Rivers man in Rivers State, and that has nothing to do with his capacity as the FCT minister. Nifemi.
Is there a sense to which you think the Attorney General was concerned about the outpour of reactions, against the decision of Mr. President? They have called it illegal and unconstitutional. Did he shed more light on the section of the Constitution Mr. President relied on to make that decision?
Yes, indeed. He emphasized the section of the Constitution, which is Section 305 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. The President also made reference to that in his national broadcast. Basically, it was expedient for the Attorney General of the Federation to come and address our journalists to again explain the reasons behind Mr. President's decision. He's saying that some of us ask questions. I particularly asked that, if the situation in Rivers State warranted the declaration of a state of emergency, because some people will say that the president's decision was too hasty. And then he said, then at what time would the president have been apt in taking that decision? That should the president have waited until there's a total breakdown of law and order, that as soon as that intelligence report was available to Mr. President, and with the blow up of crude oil pipeline, which not only is not only a significant threat to the people of Rivers State, but it is indeed a significant threat to Nigerians in 36 states and the FCT. That is why Mr. President had to step in and act fast to ensure that, the facility of the country, the oil installations that belongs to the country, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, are protected, because it is that the country relies heavily on to generate revenue for economic growth and development. Beyond also the political crisis that had escalated, and to a large extent, he also said that the governor, as chief security officer, was not particularly able to calm frayed nerves in the state. He also made some unguarded statements, which to a large extent is believed to have incited people to violence, and also probably led to the breakdown of law and order. So it is based on all of these things that President Bola Tinubu had to step in and declare a state of emergency in the interest of Nigeria, not just Rivers State alone. Nifemi.
The bone of contention, Femi, remains whether or not Section 305 of the Constitution clearly, gave Mr. President the right to suspend democratically elected officials. And that's a conversation that is rife, that most critical stakeholders are talking about. Indeed. But we're standing by to also hear from Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Babatunde Ogala, who we expect to shed more light on this conversation. Uche Okoro, our correspondent, is also standing live for us in Rivers State for updates on that matter. Thank you, Femi, for the update there. We'll be back with you when you have more in the course of our bulletin.